It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Dr. No, I am no longer distinguished author. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Our weekend was long because of the rain. I mean, it was just raining and raining and raining. We had planned to go and see, the famous Barbie movie. But then we now got information about this petition that's been signed because of some controversial
Elements
in the movie. So I'm still thinking about it if we're going to watch it or not. But how so far I've figured I think we are going to watch it. We just keep talking and hoping that we're preparing the children for
the world they'll be living in.
For the world that they'll be living in.
Exactly. It's better to get the lessons from us than outside. Good. How you doing, Tokwe? How was your weekend?
My weekend was busy. I didn't expect that my weekend was going to be this busy. So on Saturday, I joined the Your View on Saturday show for the first time.
Well, how was it?
Yeah, it was actually different. It was fun. We're discussing the same topics, but I think it was interesting to have conversation with different people, and I got a bit of sample of that from Friday. So Saturday was easier to flow. Then after that, I had church, and after church, I had to show up for my mentor's event. So it was, and my driver went for site inspection. So I was like moving myself around, got back home late.
You drove yourself to Beggar?
Yes, I drove, and then I said, okay, I'm going to rest on Sunday. So I woke up like 12 o'clock, watched service, and cooked. I've not cooked in a long time, guys. And I really liked the meal I prepared. Only for me to now see a message, a reminder from Pastor Niyadesaya that I'm supposed to come and speak at his program. So I had to drive quickly to a hotel, and it wasn't what I wanted to spend my weekend doing. So it just felt like I was on the road a lot on a weekend. I'm supposed to be resting, but I had to.
I had a similar issues. Friday, the church actually had a program for Women of Honor. So we went to after my appointment in the morning. We went for I think it's the young people's home. It's called, it's not a home. It's actually a juvenile center for young kids awaiting trial. And I was there with a boys' home in Oregon, and it was really humbling to see young people there. Many of them are there for cases of murder, mostly defilement. 10-year-olds defiling 5-year-olds, 11-year-olds. It's really, really bad. And I think, but it was impressive that there's a lot of organization. It was neat, and it was careful. It's well protected, and everybody has a legal backing. So it's not just pick up someone from the street and take them to that place. It has to go through the courts. But it was good to know that the system works, and their ways of how they handle the kids. Saturday was also quite busy. We had events in church. Also, I was also moderating a session. It was very interesting. My forte, my own is in the women stuff, typical things that we discussed. Well, it was really about just career, balancing life, work, religion. And then Saturday, I went over to Egbeda for Dr. Sunday's event, which was great. I also spoke there. And then Sunday, I also went to Pastor Ito's anniversary. Trinity House was 13 years on Sunday. So he invited me over as one of his guests. I was there very briefly. I saw a lot of my old pastors from Christchurch, Deaconess Idokolo and Deaconess Lighton. Many of them, I've not seen them in years. It was good to see everybody again from Christchurch. God bless you. So that's how my weekend was, really packed. Back to back.
Obviously.
And
I'm off to Abuja today, though. I'll be gone to Abuja for the week. I have a few events there which I'm going to be working, and I'll be there till Thursday. So I'll be back on the show on Friday by God's grace. So you guys, please hold forth.
Always miss you when you are not here.
The busy has gone, and when you're around, but you guys will be fine. You guys are professionals. You'll be good. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. APC NEC to ratify Ganduje Bashiru as chairman and secretary. Court of Appeal, e-transmission of results not mandatory. For joining police, my lover left me, says Inspector General of Police. Revenue windfall, our expectations from governors by South leaders. Markets await monetary direction from CBN's MPC. Hashtag NSARS, nobody taken from toll gate, says Lagos State government. Nigerian equities outperform global stocks with 1.3 trillion gain. Shetima in Rome for Global Food Security Summit. All right, which story are we starting with? I was going to start with the NSARS because it went viral over the weekend. There was a letter from the Public Procurement Department of the agency of the Lagos State government that went viral where there was a memo saying about 103 bodies were supposed to be for mass burial. And that went viral. Many people posted it. Many stations reposted that memo. However, the Lagos State government has responded to that memo that went viral, saying that none of the bodies of one of the 103 bodies picked up around during the NSARS season was not from the toll gate. According to them, the chief coroner invited the public through adverts, announcements, about who has lost their relatives to come and identify and declare them missing between October 19th and 27th to 2020 till date. And none of them, nobody showed up in the past 3 years, according to the report. And therefore, they had approval, legal approval, to thereby dispose of the bodies. They said almost 3 years, the bodies remain unclaimed, adding the congestion of the morgues. This spurred the need to decongest the morgues, a procedure that follows very careful medical and legal guidelines in the event that a relative may still come and own up to take one of the bodies. However, the Nigerians are still
important to lead to, if we're not discussing that hot topic,
Yeah.
the key areas where the bodies were picked from. And
so
it was
I was going to say that because also the statement also included that the bodies were picked up from Ketu, Fagba, Ikorodu, Orile, Ajegunle, Abule Egba, Ikeja, Ojota, Okoro, Ogba, Isolo, Aja, and many other places. And there was also a jailbreak at Ikoyi prison. So there were quite a lot of
after
incidences, yes. The protest that toll gate, at last shooting the toll gate, that these bodies were picked up. So, of course, according to the Lagos State government, mischief makers have tried to take this and sensationalize it to make it look as if the Lagos State government has done something wrong. But this is actually evidence that they haven't done anything.
It's important that we had a very quick response.
Yes.
Because we know how sensitive that particular topic is before people will carry it and make it something else.
That story?
Yes, I have this story. I found it quite interesting. It's our acting Inspector General of Police, the roaring lion. You know, I like him so much. And he was in church doing his Thanksgiving for his new position. But then he was also giving, you know, like testimony of his journey in the police force, how it cost him a best friend. He said when he told the best friend that he was going to the police, the best friend just defriended him and refused to talk to him.
Yeah, he said my lover. Which friend?
We are getting there.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, different. So when he said he went through his police academy and everything and said, guess what? The first thing he did was to bail his friend out of police net when he was done. And they've become even closer since then. And he said he also remembered he had a fiance or a lady he wanted to marry. And when she heard that he was joining the police, she was like, no. People are always cursing police officers. She does not want curses on her family. And so she gave him up. But he said he thanks God that she did because that's how he met his wonderful wife and he got married. And he talked about, and he talked about how the very few years, he talked about an incident that happened in 1992 where there was a gun battle with armed robbers and said it was God that saved him and just many other miracles that happened to him during the course of his career.
Now he's the acting IGP.
Yes, he mentioned that twice he wanted to be a commissioner of police in Lagos State and it never happened for him. People are thinking there's some sort of relationship he has with Tinubu. That's why he got this position. He said it has nothing to do with that. That is God all through. I thought it was good to hear the backstory of a police officer.
Yeah, fantastic. Good. And
honestly, I'm going to take time to read it as well.
He's a roaring lion.
Yes.
You know, when we hear police officers, there's a negative connotation.
Yes.
It's important that we see it from that perspective. I want to take the story about the vice president. So the vice president is representing our president in Rome. That's the capital, the Italian capital, and it's it's the stock-taking moment summit. It is supposed to cover the idea of food security, food system transformation in Nigeria. It is going to be addressing innovative financing for food system transformation and scaling up the multi-stakeholder collaboration and investment in the implementation of food systems within Nigeria. So we're looking forward to the event is hosted by a UN-based agency, and the Food and Agricultural Organization of Nigeria. Food and Agriculture, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, and many other agencies. I'm hoping that from this international conversation that is being had, we are able to bring some things home to help ensure that we have a more sustainable food policy that will be implemented to, because that's it's one of the things he said, that there's something to be from July 26 to July 29, and one of the hope of the Vice President going for this event is to be able to have a conversation to see how we can partner to implement and improve bilateral relationships with some countries that will be able to help us with our strategy.
Moving on now to the Punch. Workers kick as governors borrow 2.2 trillion naira from banks. NDLEA seizes 3.7 billion naira tramadol at Lagos Airport. Ogun begins probe as 8 die after alcohol bout. Senate gears up for ministerial screening, awaits list this week. Dollar now 876 naira as forex shortage worsens. Dangote intensifies lobby as North Central APC demands chairmanship. So that's Ganduji. I said Dangote. Ganduji. All right, let me take the major headline. So the National Union of Local Government Employees and state chapters of the National Union of Pensioners has said the banks that busted the state government for the loans they've accumulated over the years. According to this report from the Debt Management Office, the state governments have actually borrowed about 2.2 trillion naira from that's their commercial debts and domestic debts. According to this, to them also, they said that of all the states, only about 25 have had an internally generated revenue, and of that, only about one out of the 219.5 billion naira Q1 revenue, only about 182 was made from the state government. They're saying that they've not seen any improvement in their workers and their lives with all the money they've been borrowed so far. Specifically, let me just quote them directly. They said that the pensioners said that the bank loans did not translate to better infrastructure or improved welfare of workers and pensioners in the state, and that more closer look must be looked into what the governments are using this money for. 2.2 trillion naira debt is quite huge on the part of governments, and only about 25 of the 36 states are able to generate revenue to pay back some of these loans. And some of them are totally not even making revenue at all. Many of them are just totally dependent on the federal allocations. And this is a problem. Workers are protesting. And this was spoken by the senior civil servants, the chairman of Senior Civil Servants Association, Mr. Igbokwe Chukuma, said such borrowing did not translate in any way to better welfare of the workers, and it must be checked.
So I have an NDLEA story. Operatives of the NDLEA have been said to thwart plans to smuggle over 5 million pills of tramadol worth 3.7 billion. Mr. Femi Babafemi, the spokesperson for NDLEA, said that they were able to do this with the collaboration of the Nigerian Customs Service and also others working at the airport's DHL cargo warehouse. They said 98 cartons containing 5,122,900 pills of tramadol. There was also, it showed that these were coming from India and Pakistan, and the final destination was Sierra Leone. They also identified a drug kingpin who they named as Charles Wagbali. He was arrested in his hotel room. They said they had gotten intelligence that this is the sort of person he gets people and makes them and gives them drugs, so recruits mules. So he was in the process of giving a particular person, Uju Dominic, 93 pellets of cocaine. That person was supposed to swallow it and travel to Italy, and he was caught right there with the mule as well. They said he was quite shocked. Well done, NDLEA. Of course, so many other arrests were made on the streets. People, there's this person, they said Bauchi recovered over 6 million pills of opioids from 3 suspects: Emmanuel Oyebuchi, 32, Uche Yida, 33, Chinedu Ezenyim, 32. The age just cuts across from 48 to 60-something to 30-something. Everybody is just
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. The other story.
Just quick update on. I actually have avoided taking the story, a political story of APC and the NEC, but since the National Executive Committee has ratified that the position be moved to Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje as the National Chairman and Senator Ajibola Bashiru as National Secretary, the next meeting would be. The only thing left now is for the president to confirm that. And once the president confirms, it's a done deal. And many of the governors forum under APC supported the decision, saying that it's best to maintain the current pre-existing zoning formula for the composition of party leadership, because it also influences from the presidency and all the other appointments that have been taken. So in maintaining that, they've appointed these two as the...
Moving on quickly now to the point, danger as young Nigerians misapply talents. Brain drain hits Nigerian varsities. Undergraduate laments say we now teach ourselves online classes frustrating. APC chairmanship, how Adamu was paid back in his own coin. Family insists man accused of killing their pregnant daughter must marry her corpse. And confusion over the leaked memo on 61.2 million naira allegedly approved for Sanwo-Olu for mass burial of the NSAS victims. Okay, which story?
Yes, I took this story. This has to do with a teenage girl who had been forced into marriage by her father. So they said Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Osun and a human rights activist, citizen Lola Way, rescued this girl who had been forced into marriage. So it just happened, this long of it. Let me try and see if I can summarize it. She said she went to school until primary 6, but her father but she noticed that he was trying to prep her for marriage. He had collected a dowry from a suitor and had been, pestering her to get married. And she didn't want that. When she realized what he was trying to do, she left home. She ran away from home, and she went to start tailoring school. And while she was there, the father reported her as having stolen his money and his coral beads. And so because of that, they arrested her. When they arrested her, she explained that, no, her father has been trying to get her to get married, and she wants to continue her school and also learn tailoring. Anyway, because they brought her, he found that we smuggled her to that man's house. And finally, involving these human rights activists, Lola Way was able to rescue her. They had a meeting with the families, and they have decided that she's going to live with the Serkin Fulani, because that's where the community that she comes from. She'll live with the Serkin Fulani until she's done with her formal and informal education. Before then, she can decide when to get married. To think that these sort of things are happening today to our young girls is, quite...
There was a story that caught my attention in the Point, which is quite disheartening. Students in public universities have lamented the shortage of lecturers in their institutions, noting that learning has been very difficult, as many of them have to resort to online learning. According to this report, only about 100,000 academic staff are attending to 2.1 million students. The Point had gathered this information, and the Deputy Executive Secretary of Administration, NUC, Chris Mayaki, confirmed that as a result of increased running costs, mega budgetary allocations, issue of power shortage, and shortages of manpower has led many lecturers to relocate abroad for greener pastures, leaving fewer lecturers in the universities. This is quite painful because, according to other reports, the management of the 2.3 trillion naira tertiary tax fund, that's TED fund, stressed that the scholars who are sponsored by TED fund, some of them have gone abroad, refused to return to the country after completing their program. So TED fund, which is supposed to be helping the lecturers, some of them, to get scholarship, to get better knowledge, they go abroad and they never return. This is an interesting report from The Point, and I think it's worth looking at. I think it's one of these things we have to make it a hot topic to discuss further. Okay, let's move on to another story. Let's move on to the Daily Sun. Presidential election anxiety grips Tinubu, Atiku, Obi as Judgment Day beckons. Life now unbearable, Afenifere Middle Belt Forum, ACF others lament. Politicians feeling Christian-Muslim discord, Islamic scholar says. Obaseki accuses federal government of abandoning Edo. CSO asks NYSC to apologize to Imba over allegation of forged certificates. And exchange rate, experts call for removal of ban on 43 items. Okay, which story are we starting with in
Let me talk about the exchange rate, because the dollar in the parallel market was sold at 865 to 870 naira to a dollar. Yet the investors and exporters, as the IE window in the banks, was going for 77 naira to a dollar. So, and it's not expected to be that way. There shouldn't be a gap between the official and the black markets, considering that we've already said it was floating. Yeah. But the reason that still exists is because there are some products that are on banned, banned from getting the official amount. And that is why people are putting a lot more pressure on the parallel market, which will make the price continue to go high there. So if you really want to float, experts are saying, then remove all the banned items that initially the central bank had said they were going to be allowing free trade until currency has achieved market relevant level. But right now, several factors are contributing to this. And they are saying it is mainly that ban. Many people are not taking advantage of the official window. They are having to go to the open markets. It's a policy that was useful then, but with the change, that policy should have been taken out. But we're not updating. It should just be reviewed to reduce the burden.
Okay, I was going to take the story of an Islamic scholar, Sheikh Hamisu Yao, has said that most of the issues of religious dichotomy between Muslims and Christians are being fueled by politicians for their own personal and political gains. According to him, Nigerians must be wary of such politicians widening disunity between both religions. He specifically said that if you are not a good Muslim, if you don't see Christians as your brother, and you're not be a good Christian if you don't see Muslims as your brothers. So we must strive to be each other's keeper. And this was said. I mean, just reiterating the fact that politicians will always use religion to divide us.
Good message. Yeah, so there's this video that's been trending on social media, and it shows that the governor of Edo State in his convoy was stranded in a flooded area. They said the Sapele Road in Benin. And in the video, they say you could hear someone say, it don't red, everybody don't they collect. Like, everybody rich and poor, you know, that they've always, so people were there saying that they've always talked about these bad roads, but the governor is always filling it up, filling the potholes and never properly doing the roads. And now he can feel exactly what regular Nigerians or regular indigenes of Edo State are feeling. The governor, in his own, he made a response. He said that, first of all, the state cannot fix the Benin-Auchi, Benin-Sapele Road because the federal government had already awarded contracts for its repair to a contractor. He said that it seems as if they have been ignored because they have called federal government's attention to, to the state of these roads, and it just seems like nothing is being done on that level. We'll
see how that goes, because it's going to be one of our hot topics. I was going to take Vanguard because it was a story that a lot of parents, a lot of students have been trying to reach us to talk about. That's don't snuff life out of us. Parents beg Tinubu concerning the school fees increase across unity schools. That's a really, really hot topic that Nigerians are talking about. But we have to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll move to the next segment, which is a hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
for staying with us. So our hot topic today is about the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, who was stranded at the RCC junction on Sapele Road, Benin, Edo State, after heavy rain made the road quite flooded and impassable. A video of the incident, which occurred last week, is trending online with the background voice urging viewers to share the video to show that it's payback time for leaders who fail to take the needed action to help the people. Now, as Mariam said during the paper review, the government has responded, the governor himself has responded, saying that that is a federal road, that he also has been clamoring for the federal government to fix that road. But before we start the conversation, please watch this clip.
He don't red. Yeah, now cover be this so. He don't red for everybody. Everybody go collect. Yeah, na he dey say yes. So governor. Yeah, now governor na he dey say water so. He don't stop. Now he must be this governor of Edo State. He don't red. See their convoy. And not they go where now they go. See ya. Now Edo State Beniso, Edo State for ROCC. Now he for red so. Since we tell them say me, they come they do and they not agree do. They come they load block they put. They say now what they do. They say everybody don't collect now. They say that they do us. They say that they do us so they don't know say who throw stuff for market like mama go meet to. Mola say governor did this month so see. He dey side he hide, he shame. He not fit come outside. Now so everybody they collect for Nigeria.
Quite hilarious, the commentator was. But, you know, it's quite interesting when you watch this kind of clip because there's so many angles to discuss in this video. Many Nigerians are always clamoring for their leaders to actually ply the roads we ply so that they can see what we see. However, when they finally do, we still criticize them or complain, however. But what are your thoughts on this video? I would like to hear from people, especially those of you living in Edo who have experienced that road. There are various angles to this. The government has said it is a federal road. It's not a government road. Others are saying, even the government road that belongs to you, have you done it? Is it not as bad as this? What are your thoughts on this? You can call us on the numbers on your screen. Let me come to you. That's 081 076 416 79 0902 416 3440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. Mariam, let me come to you. What are your thoughts on this hilarious video?
I was just saying that there are just very few instances where we can see the failure of policy and implementation of policy play out right, before our eyes. And this was just a perfect example of what people complain about. And then is it good fortune or bad fortune to have the governor himself right in the middle of this? It's like it was written in the stars or something. And I feel that this picture and this video would send a stronger message than any other type of ranting and shouting that we've ever done. To see a leader of a state, to see the governor, feel exactly, at least at that moment, what people go through on a daily basis. I feel that it will make him get up and do something about it. Yes, he's complained that it's a federal government road, but then so what? Do you understand? Because sometimes it's a federal government road, there's nothing we can do, and we move on because we never have to ply those roads. We never have to use those hospitals. We can just do, but now that you have been on that same road, it's like, if it's federal government road, if nothing is forthcoming, what do? We have an example of a governor of Lagos State one time who we had heard, that was quite open that the federal government and the state just never seemed to gel. We're not in good terms. And the governor had to get creative, had to find different ways to raise revenue. I know the federal government should do its job, but there are human beings just waiting. Are we going to wait until the federal government moves a jiki before we do anything? So I think this is a lesson for anybody who is a leader in the state, local government level. They're different. We have to be creative. We need to take a stand. Just don't let the grass always suffer. It's good that the elephants are involved sometimes.
Let me come to you. So what are your own thoughts when you saw the video?
Obviously, I connected with the commentator that if you throw stone inside markets, now your man, you go eat. If you throw the stone into the market, it will hit your mom.
It may.
Because Because we are, and it buttresses the point where we say that every politician should use the facilities of the state, use the hospitals, use the schools, because you'll be more moved to act or create policies that make it work. Of course, I know it's a federal road, and federal government have already said they're not going to be giving refund because there are always conflicts in the figures. They feel the Ministry of Roads on the federal level feels like state governments are always inflating the cost of fixing the road. So they don't want to do it, leave our road for us. And in between those two, we are leaving several roads across the country, costing lives, slowing down businesses, and costing us money as well. So for me, policies and government policies change when people get angry enough to fight it. You will fight it. The governors, when you feel this kind of thing, you will fight. You will go and in your the net meetings that take place, you will push for it that we must stop these federal roads and state roads. Whatever budget is going to fixing roads, prioritize the road and let it go straight to the state to fix the road and monitor that the roads are being done. Instead of us saying that it's a federal road and then nobody gets to work on it. Also, if you really care about your people and the roads are that bad, you will provide short-term solutions. Finally,
It's a short-term solution like he provided that the guy was talking about.
Finally, the issue of Edo State and flooding is not today, and some other governors found a solution. So under Adams Oshomole, the flooding in Edo reduced, and everybody was applauding that they cannot believe that somebody could find a way to reduce it. And what he did was to provide dredging. That is not under federal government. Rain will continue to come. But if we provide enough waterways, it might not necessarily affect this one directly. But generally, Edo is largely being flooded now, unlike just a few years back, where another administration channeled resources towards preventive measures.
You know, there was something I observed, because the truth is that we always assume that once our government participate or use our resources, they know better. But we've seen governors attacked. Their convoys have been attacked. Has that really helped our security? Has that improved security in any way? Some might argue maybe not. We've also seen where people have complained that should we continue to have federal and state roads? I mean, some governments say, I can't afford certain roads. Even the inner roads that the local government should be fixing, they're not fixing it. And we've also heard in the past where the former minister, Minister Falastola, was saying that there was not enough budget. At the time when he resumed office, the money that was allocated for infrastructure was minimal. He had to go look for sukuk funds to support. So there was really the budget wasn't enough and available for him to do work. So maybe, according to him, he prioritized the roads that could be done. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of the ones that were prioritized. Well, how best, therefore, do we solve a problem where we have limited resources to fix?
You know, they've always described the governor of Edo State as a technocrat, and also has some influence, especially in the finance sector. So I really expect a lot more from him, in the sense that you need to find different ways to raise funds to do what's important. We feel that when we do not implement some policies, or, you know, that it does not have a cost, it has cost. This is the human angle cost that we're seeing. It affects people, it affects livelihoods, it affects lives. And so we cannot just hold on for people to keep facing what they are facing until somehow something happens. So you have to, that is why you're a leader. I think now more than ever, if you're running for office, you understand that it's not child's play. It is about coming there and doing work, no excuses. Imagine a father coming home and say, well, we not sell market today, no food. He comes the next day, we not sell market. Nobody wants to hear that. It means that you have to find different ways to raise funds. Yeah. It also means that you need to develop relationships with the federal government. I'm not saying that the federal government is all, I'm not absolving the federal government. I think we'll come to the federal government as well. But I feel that a governor, you have the influence, you have the authority more than anyone in your state to be able to form relationships, draw financial arrangements to help bring some sort of alleviation and palliatives for your community. These roads, we hear they have been complained about for many years. I mean, it just does not make sense that they're still complaining about it.
Let me take Eto from Jos. Thanks for calling, Eto. Good morning, Beto. You're live.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Marayo, I really appreciate your work over there.
Thank you, sir.
And these guys, or these governors, should stop the issue of federal road or state road. In Jonathan, put all federal roads in order. So the issue of federal state is not an issue. If he's ready to do it, let him do it. That's my submission this morning.
Thank you very much. I guess we're also waiting for the minister who's going to be in charge of these roads, because we are putting for this list that has not come out. Hopefully, when the list comes out, maybe the new minister will prioritize this road, because obviously flooding is a major issue.
The minister that would give account is the one that we already know, Minister Fashola. And the line of the conversation, we already know. We say there is no funds, and they had to put the funds. But another problem that I feel we should discuss is the fact that even when they fix the roads that they spend the money fixing, the quality of fixing is a 1 year quality, less than 1 year quality. So we don't have money to fix the road. Then we fix the road and in 1 year the roads are bad. So what exactly are we doing? We're wasting money. When we're spending the little cash we have, when we say we'll fix the road, we should be able to say that any company that fixes any road, give us 10-year guarantee that you would ensure that you are maintaining that road for the next 10 years, or the road will have there will be no need for us to refix the same road for the next 10 years.
Somebody will ask, which road are you referring to? Because people will say that in the past they used palliatives, temporary, because the truth, there was no money. Now, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is an example now that they are fixing. Hopefully, next year we'll look at it if it is bad. But in the past, they'll tell you that those roads we were fixing back then was because there was no money and it was patch we were doing. So maybe let's not assume that it's only 1 year.
So, back to the case of Edo State and the challenges within Edo State.
Oh, I'm so sorry, darling. We have to go on a break. Okay. Just hold that thought, please. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing Edo and the governor, and I think I have a call from Mike. Mike calling from Benin City. Good morning, Mike. Are you there?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Just us.
Okay. It's not a pity that they don't have to trend for such matter like this. We're talking of an area that has a lot of residents, and the picture you're seeing today is what everybody around there has got to go through, either going home from work or going to work. And students, you can imagine the influx of people around there. And we have not ever seen the governor. Yes, we know this is a federal road. We know it's not the responsibility of the Edo State government to fix that road. But we have not seen the government of this state make serious case. For instance, I can imagine if the federal government is holding our allocation for 1 month. I know the governor will leave the state government out in El Salvador, go to Abuja to go and make it. We have federal legislators who have not even led the sense of the pleasure of being legislators to call for the federal government attention on this road. All of them are living their regular life. And everybody, they have the voters, the non-voters alike, who live there, they have to go to the gosh every day. So we want to see more responsibility.
Mike, can I ask you a question? Mike, I thought many of you would be happy to know that your governor is actually planning your road. You know, many of you used to think that governors and lawmakers just travel, they have no clue what's going on ground. But I thought instead of the criticisms I saw, I thought many would be happy that at least he uses the road. And he doesn't have like a long convoy. I mean, there were about 4 cars or 3 cars. I mean, isn't that a good thing somehow for you?
Because the governor is not a spirit. He uses roads every day. He commutes around the city. Even if he doesn't go to certain areas, he has aides, he has government officials who live in this area. If anything happens in a certain area, the governor knows before even people that live in that area. So it is not, we are not surprised that we saw him on that road. He's the governor of the 18 local government of the state. So he cannot say ignorance of any part of the state. He knows what is going on in every part of the state.
Right. Mike, are you still there?
want to see more serious.
Mariam
Yes,
has a
I'm
question for you, Mike. Let me get
I
one more
don't know,
question.
have you always lived in Benin? And if you have, was there a time, and under whose administration would you say that this flooding and the roads were better? Would you say it's an administrative problem or it's just wear and tear over the years?
Well, Edo has always had problems with erosion and flooding. For instance, there was a time Selu was a problem, and it was during the time of Adam Soshomole, and we saw it rise to the occasion. And even though it is not clearly eradicated, we saw the attempt to fix that thing. And today people enjoy from that effort, even though it's not 100% eradicated. So Edo and erosion and flooding matter is just, here and there. At some point, we had a project of over 300 billion from Oshomole's hand for the stormwater project that is now abandoned by the current government. I'm sure if there was a build-up to that plan, if there was if the current government complemented that effort, we should not be talking about what we are doing now.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. But you know, there are different parts of the world where flooding is part of their lifestyle. They know hurricanes come certain times. They know certain things happen. These are natural disasters that you can't really guard against the best you can. So many communities, when this flooding comes, they know that, okay, this road, don't go there. Or you take these alternatives. So as much as we would like to criticize the government for not fixing certain roads, but if you're telling me that flooding, erosion is part of what they've known all their lives, how do we therefore live around flooding or work away around flooding?
You answered it somehow when you said in other climes, when they happen, there's also alternative roads. So what have we done when it's dry? What are the alternatives that the governor has put in place when it's dry, or, so that when flooding happens or when it's raining season, other people know not to go through this road. So we haven't done anything. We're just, from what he said, nothing has really been done. We've folded our hands. Federal government, you have given out this, as the governor said, you have awarded this contract and the work has not been done. Who are the people? We hear about all these contracts, you award it, nobody does anything. Who are the people that it has been awarded to? Who has been punished for not doing the job? It's just, you have us, again, talking about corruption. If you talk about corruption on the state government side, where you're saying we don't want the state government to be involved in doing roads, we don't want anyone involved because you inflate the price. How about you? That is your job to make sure that these roads are done. And they are not done, and we know that money has been given out. We know that there are contractors that are supposed to be on ground, and you have not called anyone to book. You have not, we're not reading in the news about arrest or anything.
We even need to take some stringent measures, but let me let you come in.
Yeah, so
I have a call. I think Hassan, and I'll come back to you. Good morning, Hassan. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, sir.
Please, I'm seeing blackmail in most cases of state governors against federal government of Nigeria. Please, we should be bold enough to ask our state governors, what have they been doing with the ecological fund given to them?
Yeah.
Because the ecological fund is meant to control this kind of problem. It's not for you to be talking about flood all the time and be talking the problem at the doorstep of the federal government of Nigeria. I'm not here to exonerate federal government of Nigeria. But please, people should do their job. The issue now is this. Look, state governors are not doing their jobs. And I'm seeing this present government try to allocate more money to them. It's like allocating money to a single individual. And even the local government at the worst come to Lekki, our inner roads, in the settlement center here, in Aja, all other places, no presence of any local government. They are not doing anything. With time, we will go to the National Assembly, pressurize them to pass a motion. Look, we don't need any local government in Nigeria again. Good morning.
Thank you. But going based on what he just said, I mean, thank God they've just, the last 1.9 trillion they were about to share, according to the reports, they said the governors all agreed that 900 billion should be saved. They're not going to touch that. They're going to put that in CBN for investment. I think it's going to be part of our, they're going to save that anyway. Yeah. So 1 trillion was shared. We are hoping that this 1 trillion that has been shared, I don't know how much state governments will get, local governments will get, maybe it's time to start putting pressure on local government to fix those inner roads. He's right.
Yes.
If you go into certain roads, we went to go and see Nima the other time, and even in my own area here, in this area, some inner roads are not fixed. So local government needs to definitely look into it. But let me come to you. You're talking earlier.
Yeah, so for me, everybody that knows Edo State knows that they tend to have these issues. And people will not complain if they are saying that the government is actually doing a whole lot to reduce the challenge that they are going through. I think it was 2 years ago, 2021, according to, they said 12 Edo community within the Isako, which is Nima's area, was submerged by water. Like 12 communities. Many people losing their lives on a consistent basis. And the state governor said that the project that Adam Soshomole, the former governor, started, the stormwater project he mentioned, was fraud. Because, the last caller called up that if they had continued that project, it would have been able to solve the problem. He said he was going to now investigate the $30 billion project, and that he would now do another thing to mop up the water. There are projects that can help. That's why we have dams. When you know areas where there's going to be water issues, they create stormwater or dams to mitigate that water flow. We haven't done enough of that. According to I want to mention the name, New Map. It's an agency. They said they have completed 15, the current governor has completed 15 erosion projects in Edo State. So it's not as if he's not doing anything, that nothing is being done. But and they said they've spent $150 million on flood control erosion, according to Governor Baseki. But the impact on the people, because if you still ask people, go to every local government you are asking for. My mother-in-law lives in Edo, and he lives in Bini, not even out, like in Bini. And when rain falls, they are shut out. They are shut out, and they'll have to swim to go and buy food stuff. So it's a case of conversation right now that we need to stock up the house so that if we have major rainfall, we will not starve unless we enter into the water. People are suffering. So if you as a leader want to say that we are doing our best, the communication must be constant. He would have stepped into that water. At first, I said before we came on the show that, he shouldn't have. If he does that, he might endanger his life. People might attack him. But maybe if he had stepped down from the car.
We should have talked about that.
Maybe if he had stepped down. No, sometimes
I wish
our leaders, because how many people have cars?
He has driven there. See,
let me land the point. If he had stepped out of the car, entered into the water, his suit got soaked, and tells people that I understand the pain. We are doing our best. It's different from when you say, I understand your pain from inside his office. It's a different thing.
Can I say something?
If I communicate it after going through the experience, or they can see that I am soaked up, I am experiencing what majority of my citizens who don't have the luxury of a car like this to protect them from the water, he would connect with people more.
That gesture would not have fixed anything, because this man will still record. I let you talk. This man will still record. He could have indeed been stoned. People who are angry, thinking that he's aware. You never really know what's going to happen. It's too risky for the executive governor of the state to come out like that. However, I get your point to connect, but you see, that's what we've been clamoring for. Stop flying, take the road. Now he has taken the road, it's still an issue. So it's not about you listening all the time to say, okay, because they want me to fly this road, let me see that I'm flying the road. What they want you to do is fix the road. So what he did, when he now got to his destination, he referenced what he just experienced and then told us. So this man where he has seen it and he has said it, he didn't keep quiet as if I didn't pass it. He said it and acknowledged, I just passed this road. This is what's going on. Federal government, please come to our aid. Yes, we need him to do much more, be more proactive, but he has exactly acknowledged that he passed that road. So we've achieved that he has seen what we want him to see.
I don't think, especially when Mike from Benin called, it's not a road that is unfamiliar to the governor. It's a very busy road. Schools, houses, residences, all, they're there. It just so happened that he got stuck on the day. And I wish, for me, I don't know if it's just because I want to hear more gist, he got down from his car and folded up his trousers and waded through the waters and said, I hear you, my people. Wait, I hear you, my people. Walk down and say, okay, see this drainage. We like to see them in action. Looks like some of these drainages have been blocked. That's better. Even if he comes, he was with his convoy. he would have had security around him. They would have also folded up their trousers. I feel that would have been a better...
In Lagos State, I'm sure he would have done it.
Let me take this call for a minute. Oh, I'm so
sorry.
Shola. I kept Shola.
Sorry,
Please try to
Shola.
call.
It's not good to
Shola.
compare, but we need to... if we don't create these scenarios and help people understand how to take advantage of those opportunities to connect emotionally,
Yes.
it's very, very important. We yap them, oh, they are eating pomo on the streets, they are eating boli on the streets. But guess what? The people connected with the fact that they came to eat boli with me. Is the former governor of Ekiti State, what is one of his strengths? He connects with the people. Fayose is a man, people in Ekiti know him. You might be yabbing him on the streets of Lagos, but the people know that anytime Fayose is within Ekiti, he will pack and eat the corn on the road.
After all, they do that when they're asking for votes.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes, if it was during
I need
campaign,
you.
pre-election, he would get down and say, I'm going to do it when you vote for me. But he cannot get down and enter the water now.
I hear you, and you're right in the emotional connection. However, it wouldn't really have fixed anything.
Yes, it
because our people, unless I don't know the Nigerians I'm talking about, the Nigerians that I know, it comes down, it doesn't come down. That same man will still make the same comment, the exact same thing, and the criticism he got, he will still get it, because the truth is that the criticism.
Do you remember those Fashola days when he would get down from his car and do something?
He would
be so happy.
He will control traffic, even though the traffic is still happening.
Fashola's time is different from today. Then social media was not so strong where people can just say anything. That now, let one governor try come down in that kind of situation, the kind of backlash he will get. He would rather go fix the problem than be seen to be doing have that emotional connection. So I hear you. There was a time emotional connection worked. But today, the more enlightened Nigerians, they don't really care with you jumping around. They will still yab you.
Yeah, one is small that have this opinion. Majority would want emotional connection.
Okay, let's go on a break. I think we have a call. Good morning, Adamu. Then we're our last caller for this segment. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, you guys are doing a very wonderful job for all of us, the Nigerians. And what I want to talk about the supposed federal road and state roads. There should not be any issue. The governors are only lazy because a governor is allowed to work on or reconstruct the federal road, and after that, he. Hello.
We can hear you,
Adam. Please go ahead.
Yes, a state governor is allowed to reconstruct or rehabilitate federal road, and afterwards he will get back his funds from the federal government, because it happens in my state during our last governor. Our former governor rehabilitated 2 busy roads in Bauchi and Katago, and afterwards he gets his fund back from the federal government, and everybody is happy. So I think this same thing can be done in all the state roads. If a road is a very busy road, you don't need to wait for the federal government to come and repair it for you as people.
Yeah, thank you, Adami. That's a good point, because I know the Lagos State government got some refund sometime for a major road that was done at some point. So he's right. It's based back to what you said about relationships. You have to ensure that you're able to get some funds, and then hopefully you get the money back in the nearest future. But we have to wrap up on this. But let me go ahead. Yeah.
Lagos State, Edo State is not the only state that is having flooding issues. There were some places within
Kogi State.
Kogi State, there's Kogi State, and many states that are going through this challenge are also crying out. And we mustn't wait until they catch the video of the governor being stuck on the road. Sometimes the governor will never have any reason to ply their roads, but they are citizens of the state. And in actual fact, they should be, those people should be taken care of and spoken up about. That's number one. Number two, on my final comment, is the comparison is not that Lagos State is better. It is that we've had a benefit of responsiveness, somebody always speaking up in Lagos, that we always have that governor talking. We've had advantage almost all through our democracy since 1999, that the governors, we always have governors that always come out and say, I'm talking, I'm listening to you. Even when there is crisis, you see the governor there saying, even in the crisis of NSAS, he supported the challenge. It's always happening. And so there's this sort of like emotional part that we should have.
Because you're dealing with Lagosians.
Yes, we should have more people
to
do that. But it's not a comparison of this is better than the other. It's a comparison that all of us deserve as citizens a better country. We want better roads, we want to enjoy better governance, and all of us have a right to demand that in whatever form.
It's interesting. Somebody sent me a message, Mr. Abdul.
Yeah.
He said that, do you notice that even those security details that usually crowd around the governor's convoy were missing? They can't enter the water. You know how usually when governors are stuck in traffic, the convoy come down and say, hey, move, move.
Well, so they were afraid. You're right. Because I was even going to say that, but when a governor is passing through, don't we have like a pre-convoy that goes ahead to make sure that his journey is smooth?
Usually, so maybe they were also scared because this way I say they should come down, be showing himself. Even security guard couldn't come down and show themselves because these guys that are recording.
Well, it was a short video. We don't know what happened.
Yeah, somebody opened the door.
Open the door, you enter water. We don't have that part of the video.
He's a governor.
How many Nigerians have
what I'm just saying is that we are saying governor come down. The security detail, we didn't see the security detail come down either. So maybe it's a security threat.
How far they
may have come down.
People swim to get to their house.
We have to wrap up on this. But I think, in a nutshell, Nigerians are happy that their leader was able to experience what they usually experience, and I'm also happy that the governor responded immediately. But there's still the issue of which federal roads versus state government roads, and Nigerians are insisting that listen, there has to be a relationship where governors have ecological funds that can help to actually alleviate some of these issues, and then the federal government can refund them. Either way, the people are the ones suffering. The roads, if you don't spend the money, if you spend the money, Nigerians are the ones suffering. So please, hopefully the government can take this as feedback and speak to whomever is going to be involved as the minister in charge to ensure that road gets fixed and prioritized going forward. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to another hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So another hot topic which is important is about the school fees hike. Amidst the escalating cost of living in the country, some educational institutions have announced significant increase in their tuition and other fees, while it is learned that others are planning to do so in order to cope with the effects of the removal of subsidy on petrol. The House of Representatives have asked the federal government to also suspend all forms of increment of school fees in the federal government-owned universities. Now, we'll be having very much later on the show the Deputy Minority Whip Honorable Aliyu Madake, who's going to be joining the conversation. But first, we'd like to hear from Nigerians. You can call us on 081 076 41679, 090 241 You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. All right, let me come to you ladies first, because I know that this is always a very difficult decision to make, or difficult conversation to have, especially because we understand the realities of our economy. We understand that people cannot afford it. The inflation is high, 22%. People what they are earning is unable to actually cover the actual cost of their home, running their homes and all that. Now, schools, both private schools and government-owned schools, are about to increase, or some of them have already increased the school fees, and students are clamoring that this has to be stopped. The House of Representatives have also weighed into the issue and trying to get them to stop this increase. But what are your thoughts on this? And the reason why we're having this conversation, because many of us talk about education abroad, we want to jackpot. The places we are jackpotting to, education is not cheap there either. It's quite expensive. And there was a time of largesse when governments could subsidize education. But unfortunately, we're in debt. So how do we meet halfway? People are poor, and yet they want better education for themselves. What are your own suggestions to government in these kind of situations?
I don't think that we would... The government's job is to manage the resources, right? So they look at the funds they have, they prioritize what they feel is most important. But Nigeria does not have a future without education.
Yeah.
And so if the government is looking for any way to prioritize over and over again, I've said it several times, it's education, it is health. We can swim through bad water. We can cope with the airports not looking good, but we don't have a future if we don't have education and if we are not alive. So health, the most impactful area to put palliative for this country is in the educational sector. So if there is anything that I found very annoying about the current discussion on hike, it was the fact that they are going to hike unity schools. I don't even mind about hiking universities because people can afford to say, I don't want to go to university. But secondary school is too crucial. Unity schools are currently dilapidated. The quality of education there is, we're managing the education. The facility is not it, but we were still getting education for people that could not afford this. Now, by hiking it, you are cutting off several families from being able to send their children to school. Unity school is a no-no. I support the House of Assembly. I support everyone who is speaking against the increase in school fees for unity schools, because at this point in time, we don't need extra hardship for people at that level. Primary school education, secondary school education for every public school should not be increased.
All right, so when I see something like tuition going from, I'm trying to get the breakdown, hopefully I get the breakdown in a second, from about, I think, was it 25,000, or no, 15,000 to 30,000 or so, and I'm thinking to myself, so, I mean, the numbers for me is like, that's really small. So how do I expect to get quality education if that was how much I've been spending for schools in the first place? I mean, if you think of the numbers, 100,000 and plus, at the end of the day, it's about 100,000 naira they're going to be paying per term. Compared to what some people are paying in private schools, you'd be thinking, okay, what kind of teacher, what kind of education do I expect to get if that is what we're paying? So as much as I know that the fees are high, but how do you think we can get quality education even with this number that we're paying?
See, first of all, education is expensive all across the world. Very good education is very expensive anywhere in the world. So we understand that. Earlier, I think it was off the show, we're talking about in what ways can government invest in its people. It's not necessarily about infrastructure, but, educating our people, making sure that they're getting health, easily and cheaply. We cannot afford to add primary and secondary school in this hike right now. Yeah. We're struggling with so much. We're struggling with millions of out-of-school children. We're struggling with people who are dropping out of school. We must at least find a way, as the federal government in Nigeria, to provide education for free or at a very minimal cost for Nigerians at the primary and secondary school level. So the unity schools fees right now, I don't think we can do it. I don't think government should approve that. I understand that things are expensive, but that cost should go to the federal government. Federal government needs to find a way to still provide quality education for Nigerian students. We're talking about the future of our country. Many times we're already struggling with, the violence we have or the terrorism that we have is because our children are not in school. They are joining all sorts of gangs, they're involving themselves in all sorts of crimes. Please, we cannot afford to bring a situation where even more children, especially those who are able to afford it one time, drop out of school. Yeah. Now for universities, Nigerians, we all agree, education is expensive. University education is not cheap anywhere.
Except Nigeria.
So I would advise, because of the kind of education we want, by the time you get to university, you want your lecturers to be sound. You want the researches that you're doing to be relevant in today's world. It takes a lot of money. You want the proper infrastructure on ground. You want libraries, you want books, you want online, you want internet data. Those are the sort of things you want. You want a community of lecturers who are motivated and feel quite accomplished and happy to, provide of their services. If our university lecturers are not well paid, if the infrastructure needed is not provided and the resources needed is not provided, we will not get the quality education that we need, given the amount of money that we're paying right now. But we can look at the way the First World is doing it right now, where they are providing some palliatives, like our president has already said that they would, although we're discussing, how well it will work. We can create palliatives, alternatives for bursary, for, scholarships and things like that. But for now, primary and secondary school education, please do not touch it. Too many Nigerians are out of school. Too many Nigerians are struggling with so much monetary policies. We are struggling with that. We are not able to feed. We are not going to our farms. We want our children to be in school, at least to secondary school level.
All right, I get that part, because I understand that even in the because YK always say, don't always compare, but we have to look at how things have been done elsewhere. University is not for everybody. And we keep forgetting that. Half the time when somebody graduates from the secondary school, it's only a small fraction that thinks of going to university, because with your secondary school degree, you can just find a job to live a normal life. So that's why we need to go back to the quality of which you just said, secondary school. However, if we look at the breakdown, I was looking at the breakdown from the Ministry of Education. Tuition fee, the boarding fee, 30,000 naira per term. Can you feed with 30,000 naira per term? Uniform is 25,000. Textbook deposit is 15,000. Exercise book is 5,000. Prospectus 1,000. ID card 1,000. Stationery 1,000. Sports, medical, vocation 1,000. Everything just was 100,000. Now, for those of you in private schools, what you're earning for even ordinary vocational, we know the difference. So I'm saying that if I'm going to go to unity school, I understand that government should subsidize. But government is also saying that the largest for subsidizing, we don't have it anymore. You need to pay a little bit more fraction, because I'm sure with this, they are still subsidizing. I can't believe that to pay 30,000 is going to be enough for a child for a term. It's impossible.
So, Morayo.
So I would like to believe that government is still subsidizing with this amount of money that students are still paying.
I said...
We're not asking government to further subsidize.
It was like 2 weeks ago, and I said that there are some times that we are so far from majority that we don't understand the reality of majority, that 100,000 naira is impossible for majority of Nigerians to pay. So how much
does 30K
how much is a salary, how much is a driver earning? How much is, so let's even say you are working, you're earning 120,000 naira per month. That's a good job in the economy of today. You are earning 120, you are a man, you have 3 children or you have 4 children. You can't pay their school fees. You can't send them to secondary school. Not in a unity school. And at 120, you are earning well. So imagine you're now earning 60K, and there are many that are earning 60K as their salary.
They don't even make it about drivers. You could be a nurse in a hospital, I'm not even saying about... Exactly.
Let me take this call. I'll come back to you.
For me, is that the leaders don't understand that people are earning 30K.
I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me take this call from... Hello, good morning. I think I lost... Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning. Morayo.
Yes, you're live.
How are you today?
Very well, Pastor Kindele.
Yeah, I've been listening to your contribution all the way, from that of the flood and to the jack of the school fees. What I will please is 2 ways. Number one is the issue of the flood. Somebody have already answered, have contributed very well about the ecological fund. Then the issue of education, what about the education trust fund? What is government using it for? Are you getting me? What will the citizens of this country benefit from this government? Everything is still coming down to the citizen. Food fuel, high price, citizen. Electricity, high tariff, citizen. Everything just coming down to the downtrodden. What are we going to benefit? Do they want to kill us with all these bodies? Or is it because they want to start a student loan that makes them to begin to increase all this something? The education loan that have not yet started, it has not been perfected. Please,
Pastor Kindele, let me stay with you. Pastor Kindele, let me stay with you for a moment. Where government is saying that, I don't know what schools your own children go to, for example, but I'd like to understand how much you pay per term, because they're saying that for boarding house, they're going to be charging 30,000 naira per term. Do you, in your own regard, do you really think that 30,000 naira is enough to ensure your child gets feeding at least 3 times a meal a day? And the cleaners who are the janitors who are going to be cleaning are doing their job, the electricity that needs to be paid. In your own view, do you think 30,000 naira is too much for a child to pay in boarding school? In your view? Or too little? Pastor Kindle, are you still there? Okay, because
I hear how you put that. It was never about paying all those fees. It was just their own way of also making a small contribution, maintenance fee, yes, a token. So it's not that parents were paying that amount and thinking that it was paying for the feeding, for the boarding, for the teachers. They understood it was subsidized and was saying we need to keep it subsidized. Things have become worse, you know, than it used to be. And so while things...
Wait, subsidized?
No, that's what I'm saying. I said it's subsidized. Even the 120, whatever, or where we now, we're 120.
Yes, it's 100.
It's still subsidized, we understand. But it was never about paying paying the money to, expecting the parents to pay for the services in full. It was meant to be subsidized. And I'm saying that when parents could afford 30,000, then that's what for many of us, that's what we can still afford. Our lives have not changed or improved. Many Nigerian lives have not changed or improved. In these years, it has gotten worse. We're now we're at the cups of a new economic situation where we have removed fuel subsidy. Prices of food has gone up. We've been dealing with insecurity, left, right, and center. Our parents who are farmers cannot get to work. We're struggling. At least one thing we're able to do is make sure that they go to school. And if we now increase the fees, where will we put them?
So why don't we pause
education? No, we're not pausing education. So when we say to government, tighten your belt about those cars and about those furniture, this is what we're talking about.
Priority.
When monies are supposed to go to things that can be flimsy, put it towards education. Let government invest more. Mop up funds wherever you can and put it towards education. Okay. Because don't just see it as Nigerians are paying too little for primary and secondary school education. See it as an investment into the lives of Nigeria and into the country, Nigeria itself. The quality of people who have, the sort of mindset. We were talking about, sorry, go on.
I have a call. No, hold me for a while. Adekunle, don't want to lose that call for my good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning.
Morning, sir.
A first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
My question over this issue of increase in school fees for public schools. Can you hear me?
Very clearly.
Okay, thank you. My problem with the increase in this, the fees for public schools is, what exactly does the government want the citizens to benefit from it? Now, the government has removed 12 subsidies. Where is the excess being channeled into? I, as a person, attended public school, primary school, and secondary school. I remember that the only thing my parents paid was our feeding in the boarding house. It is the state government, the Western state then, that was paying our hostel fee. Our parents would buy books and uniforms. Any other thing was borne by the government of the Western state then. Once subsidy has been removed, citizens are going in pain. Prices of foodstuffs and everything are going up. Then what does this government want to give us? We voted for this government. And I don't want people to go back and say, yes, we regretted ever voting this government.
All right. Thank you very much, Adekunle. Yeah. Now, let us speak. Please.
What I was trying to say. So, you know, when we talk about, we build infrastructure, and before you know it, Nigerians will go and remove them because they don't understand how this affects us. When we talk about, you employ drivers, but they're not just so smart because, you know, critical thinking is missing. That's what we're talking about when you educate your children, at least primary to secondary school. You're educating a workforce. Do you understand? A workforce that you will be unable to pay for if you did it any other way. I mean that it will cost you more if you do not educate them. If you had a workforce that, you know, when they finally go into the market, whatever it is that their labor market, electricians, your market women, mothers, as they are taking care of their children and making sure that they are getting proper antenatal care and postnatal care. Their lifestyle, their habits, their decisions will be greatly impacted if they get education or not. There are millions of Nigerians that are below poverty line. There are millions of Nigerians that are just at the cost of the poverty line. When we increase the fees like that, especially at that level, we will be doing ourselves a huge disservice. We will pay. For those who can pay, we'll pay with our lives. We'll have people standing on the streets and pointing guns at us. So we can't afford to...
So some might argue that when we had the largesse, when we found oil, when we had money, when the country had money, we could subsidize. Now, he's talking about many years ago where he had free education, they were giving them milk in school for heaven's sakes. But today, just like you rightly said, we don't have money.
Yes.
We are in serious debt. So maybe we should go back to factory resets where, you know what, we can't even afford anything. Even this education, this Western education that we're all thinking that's going to make us more responsible adults, we can't even afford it. Let's stop this. Let me hear me out. Let's stop this education and go back to using our hands. Let's even stop this formal education and say, you know what, where we are right now, we can't afford this Western education anymore across board. Let us go back to how we can begin vocational learning where we solve our problems. Same way other countries close their borders first. You know what? Let's even shut out the West and say, how do we develop internally? And say, stop this formal education. Let us see what we can raise these citizens, make them useful to learn carpentry, to learn what we need to actually fix. I'm just hypothetically speaking. Where that, because the reason this burden of education is because of this Western mentality that until you have this education, you can't be prosperous. But maybe we need to redefine that in our own way. Say, you know what? We can't afford it anymore. Let us review and let us retrace. I'll come to your response to that. Let me take this call, then I'll come back to you. Good morning. I have. Oh, I'm so sorry, Olayemi, for keeping you. Let me let you jump in.
So I'm of the opinion that it's as if we are crying more than the government that does not have money. Because the government that does not have money is also still spending money on many things that I don't think is important. So we cannot feel for them. It's like when you say, oh, I'm so broke. I cannot afford to eat chicken. You're not broke. You are choosing. The majority of your citizens have it really, really bad. So that's why I keep on repeating it, because I feel like many of our leaders don't understand how bad majority of the citizens have it. That's one. Another thing is, I agree that we should reconsider our higher education, like university. Yeah. That one is taken for granted. The money we are putting right now into giving money as cash to the poorest of the poor is not priority. The poorest of the poor will farm behind their house and eat, if we're actually being realistic. The real thing that would secure our future is that we are educating the next generation so that whatever problem comes up, they are able to solve it. If you don't educate them, if you let us have more children out of school, we saw the result of the last years that we did not educate. We had Boko Haram, we had bandits, we had a lot of people that became criminals because they didn't go to school, they don't have any other option. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. The government did not train me. So for us to solve the problem in the future, our biggest palliative right now should be primary and secondary school education and getting people into the school system. That's the major priority. Okay. The second would now be that when you finish from secondary school, go and learn a vocation. Yes. Yes. Now so that you can have something that you can use to
good. So that's why I wanted to meet you halfway when you're talking about the vocational. I love the idea, but it should be in conjunction with the formal education. But also, if we're going to be shutting down anything, we can shut down the National Assembly.
Exactly.
What do we need those buildings for? What do we need to be paying them for? Yeah. If we need to put money somewhere, we can take it from there and put it towards our children's education.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue our conversation and take a few calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
thanks for staying with us. We're going to be having the National President's Academic Staff Union of University ASUU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, who will be joining us in a moment to share his thoughts on this. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Oh, we're having connection issues with him. Let's take a few comments on social media while we are waiting Professor's thoughts on this. I mean, good morning, sir. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
So what are your thoughts on this proposed increase across board for schools, especially those owned by government?
Well, to me, it's not palatable, and that's because nothing has happened to the minimum wage of the average Nigerian, which is 30,000 naira per month. How the children of this set of people, and those who want less than that, are going to pay this fee should be of concern to the government of the people. Because invariably, if nothing happens, and this is allowed to stay, many of these children will be forced to leave the system. They just leave the system. And when they leave the system, very angry, they could be a good pool for all these miscreants to recruit for the insecurity we have in the country. So we have to look at all the issues before we start thinking about whether increasing or decreasing or reducing school fees. But I believe that what is happening today is not palatable at all for the average Nigerian who can hardly eat.
Right. Professor, let me stay on you.
Yes, okay. So we're talking about universities right now. And for me, I'm just curious to know why, like, if there's an increase in tuition in universities, federal universities across the country, in what way would it improve education? In what way would it help lecturers or motivate them to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in what way would it improve education, do you think? And is it so, and you know, the conversation we're also having is, how crucial is university education? If a Nigerian is able to get good quality primary and secondary school education, can he still, you know, move on and become a proper Nigerian citizen? Maybe in a few years, come back when he can afford it.
You see, any country can grow based on the level of education. Where we are today is because we have not given some attention to education. And that's why we're not growing in the world. So if we believe that we should just go to secondary primary school, then we exactly what some of these key foreign countries are doing, are planning to do. Because once you
Hello, Prof. We can't hear you again.
Breaking up.
Hello, Prof.
Hello? Are you hearing me?
Now we can hear you.
We taught everything because we to develop our education. We take care of educational system. So if we allow us to go to school, then we have this country is finished.
Professor.
So we need to Nigeria.
This is really
when I was growing up,
all right, okay.
We can't hear you. I'm so sorry, Professor. We really, really needed to hear you. Maybe our callers, our producer can call you back. You know,
So we were discussing concerning, this is going to be addressing more of the secondary
university. Yeah.
And the lecturers have always complained. In the past 3 months, I have had job applications from, somebody has worked with me from January this year. She just graduated from Unilag. And she said for the past 2 years of being in Unilag, she's been working. And I just felt maybe she's just been enterprising. But then I got application from like 5 other people that were still students in Unilag. So I had to ask the last 2, why are all of you in Unilag working while you're in school? He said, we don't really do lectures. We just do our exams. Full time. Like we do test and we do exam. So when I saw that report in the paper today, it confirms the fact that many university lecturers, they will send you what you would do. You will study by yourself at home, and they pass and they finish from school. So why are we deceiving ourselves like we don't know what is really going on in the public schools? That majority of them are not taking lectures. It's even almost better you go to open university where there is a proper structure.
Okay, I'm told the prof is back.
Classes.
Yeah. Prof, I'm told, Prof, let me hold on 1 second. Good morning, Prof, are you still there? Yes, you were telling us earlier, you were responding to Mariam's question.
said that the rate of growth of a country will depend on the standard of your education, of your tertiary education. So if you allow your tertiary education to grow, to be destroyed, then you have destroyed the country. All the countries in the world that are doing well, because they have standard education, they believe in tertiary education, they believe on the triple helix, relationship between the industry, the universities, and the government.
Yeah.
And that's why they are growing. But for us, we still not to be interested. Because we have been told by some of these foreigners who will borrow money from always to ensure that our system is brought down, so that they keep on loading over us, so that our children keep on going there and pay the huge amount of tuition fee. I will still be falling for it.
Professor.
There has to be a change.
Let me rephrase Mariam's question a bit. It's all world over. Education is not cheap. Even those of us that jackpot, we pray through our nose to pay for education. Even the citizens of their own country too have to pay. They have options of not even going to university at all. Many of them don't even bother going to university. Now, in Nigeria, it's probably have one of the cheapest education because many of our doctors who graduate here go abroad and they don't have to worry about school loans because they just enter the workforce, do their exams, pass, and they're good to go. So in your view as a professor, do you think if we're going to attain any quality education, don't you think that it has to be some kind of counterpart funding from both parents and the schools? Yes, the federal government will do their own part, but shouldn't we also as citizens be ready to also pay somewhat for the high tertiary education?
Okay, thank you very much. In those countries you are referring to, what's the minimum wage? By their standard, by their minimum wage, is there anybody in the U.S. who is a worker who cannot pay school fees?
Yes.
Is there any staff, any worker, government worker in England that cannot pay school fees?
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, when you have minimum wage of 18,000 in some states, 30,000 naira federal, how can they pay the fee? Two, when you cite those countries, cite Germany. In Germany, do they pay school fees? Is it not free? In Sweden, do they pay school fees? Why are we citing we are citing the one we have to use?
In America alone,
what the end in Nigeria is less than the minimum wage in the UK and US. So we do not cite those two. But go and look at those countries. They give a minimum of 15 to 20% of their budget to education. We give 5%.
Yeah.
What we are saying that federal government, the parents are already paying. They pay for accommodation, they pay for the upkeep, they pay for books, they pay for all of things, they pay for electricity, pay for medical, they pay for everything. So we don't compare the parents already overpaying. Go and check. So what we should be the government that gives 5% of the budget to education. Which country does that in the world?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about, the parents are already paying. Let the federal government upgrade their allocation to 15 to 20% as other countries, Ghana, Cameroon, South Africa are doing. And then we'll solve this problem. We should not be saying what is indefensible. You are paying man, you are paying somebody more than 50%. If you look at the standard, 133 million Nigerians earn less than $1 a day. They are in poverty. And you want their children to go to school, while your children are enjoying good education outside the country. This we should defend in organized Nigeria because that's how we're having security today. And the more we do it, the more security we'll have in the country.
Thank you very much. Toby, want to ask questions?
So, I hear you, sir, and I understand, especially when you mentioned your last sentence, which is the fact that many of the lecturers understand that majority of the politicians who are saying we don't have funds for education have their children studying abroad, getting better quality of education. But with the reality on ground, do you think that it is increasing the school fees alone that will solve the educational challenges that the university system has been facing for a long time? Do you think that would help, or that the government should just increase the funding, or a combination of both?
What the government will need to do is to increase the funding to the world standard, to the African standard. Simple. And two, ensure that money is well used. Three, ensure that infrastructure are well developed. If you can give 110 billion to senators to furnish their offices and buy equipment, and you are going to give 100 million to Nigerian universities nationwide, what are we talking about? You are giving senators, House of Rep member, 140 billion to upgrade that for those who are just resuming. I know at university you cannot give me, you give me like 11 million a month. Doesn't make any sense. That's our problem, our priority. And we should set our priority right. We are told that spend 200 billion. Last year, we spend 200 billion every month to feed secondary school and primary school children. Who was fed?
Professor.
So these are the issues we do. Yes.
Some will also argue that even with the increased fees today of the universities, it is still heavily subsidized. That what the federal government is probably asking Nigerians to pay is still very minuscule compared to the real value they probably will be getting. How do you respond to that?
That is not correct. Like I said, go to any university. The students are already paying. When I was a student, I stayed in hostel. And I paid minimum. I have access to food. I paid minimum. That was the same country. So what has changed? So it is not correct that go and check. Access to education is to free education. It's there at our institution. Although it's not your teachable. I think they have this problem. What we are saying is a very simple thing. Do what African countries are doing. Give 15 to 20% of your budget to education. Simple. That's what the press, not our colleagues in the press, which will be pushing. Let's do what all African countries are doing. Let's do what the world is doing. Give between 15 and 20% of your budget to education. It's simple.
Okay.
And then leave the rest.
TET fund, how much, we know how the percentage that goes to TET fund. How is TET fund managed? Is it by the government or is it by the schools or the president? How is that being managed so far? Let me ask you that question.
TET fund is a product of ASUU struggle in 1994. And the structure we put in place then, the structure that was in place there, if it was followed, we would have better system today, or better funding, better implementation from TET fund. But that when it was formed, ASUU was going to be part of the board to ensure that the politicians also hijack the whole system. But somewhere they don't were removed. And today you can go and see what happened in TET fund. But even in spite of that, go to any university today, 90% of the project you are going to see are all TET fund. You can go and check. What the federal government is trying to do is to take care of the salary and then the running costs. The project has been taken over by TET fund, which is a product of ASUU struggle. But the situation where the federal allocation to University of Ibadan are running costs a month 11 million. You know, what can 11 million do in the University of Ibadan with more than 1 million people? So that's the crisis we are having.
So if ASUU takes control, take back control of TET fund, hopefully there'll be better management of resources, you think?
If ASUU is as conceived in the law, the first law of TET fund, if ASUU is allowed to be there in the board of TET fund, it will upgrade what you have today. Today, I can tell you some university, a contractor tell you this is how much you have. This is how much you have, and this is what you should use it for. Which is not correct. We need to correct that TET fund to ensure that the people get value for the money. This is funding for the public, from the Nigerian people, not from the government. Because it's tax. It's 2% of tax, 2.5% of tax, tax on income of profit of companies. So the government should do its part and will not have problems.
Right.
But they need to review how TET fund has been managed in the past 10 years.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Emmanuel Oshedeke, thank you very much. National President for ASUU has been speaking with us on his thoughts. And he believes that the federal government must, at a matter of emergency, increase the budget for education. For a country like ours, you can't continue to have the kind of money we have for education. There has to be priority for education and health. And we've been saying that for years, even on this table.
What really blew my mind this conversation is that we've been looking at the cost of tertiary education through one perspective. It's possible for it to be cheap and free.
Yeah, absolutely. So the money they're saving from subsidy, they should kindly divert it to education and health. That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.